Hey y'all, hey y'all.
So I'm really excited about today. Not only though, today's been productive. Like my client just left my house, so I'm like super productive today. I'm on cloud nine. Hey everyone, it's Autumn, your girl with ADQM Solutions. Tiff with
And it is your girl, Tiffany TKOverby with TKOverby Business Consulting.
business entanglements done got real. Every time you catch us, as you can see, we kind of tighten up a little bit. A little overlay. Like we on point. We steady growing, but we also trying to bring it to the table to be completely different. Like we want to talk about what's not being talked about, and we just want to bring it to the table to bring awareness. So we can't express, and we're gonna tell Vince. Tip, what did we say we was gonna tell Vince right now before he came on?
Yes, we have to tell him right now that whatever happens on the show does not interfere with the contractual agreement we have with him already.
You should see him backstage. He's like looking like what? So, want to bring on Vince Candor. He is with the 21st Men, this awesome group here locally in Jacksonville, but I think they've expanded outside of Jacksonville. But they actually help to support the men, but also the men in the industry that we're in as well. But to a standpoint that it's a little different. I think Vince is very expressive on what he does and how he says it. He doesn't really bite back. And it's awesome to have him on the show because our topic today is what? Who does it best? Women or the men in business? Like really, that's what it is. So let me go ahead and bring him on the show. What up?
Hey, how you doing? So don't
Hello.
judge me. Business is great. So I had to step out of a meeting to take this one. So I really am excited to be here. But I am sitting outside of a Wawa gas station. So just to give clarity to anybody who's watching.
And let us tune in, know that you're tuned in and that you're watching as well, because we definitely want to be able to shout y'all out. Uh, and Vince, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yep. So I currently hate this music that's going on in the background. However, I am, and if it gets too loud, let me know. I can move. But my name is Vincent. I own a marketing and branding company, over 8 years of experience. But more importantly, I am, like she said, the brand manager for the 21st Men, which aims to equip and empower men of color through our four pillars of modern manhood. Our slogan is redefining masculinity through those four pillars: entrepreneurialism, integrity, community, and mental health. But more importantly, just really kind of being a place that women tend to have more of, which is a community of men that look like each other and walk and talk and have the same struggles, to be able to really kind of talk about those, but in business and in our personal lives. So.
Is there the 21st Men? Is everybody in business or not necessarily?
No. So to me, it's a great segue. So to me, entrepreneurialism isn't a job, right? It's a mentality. It's something that you can do even in your 9 to 5. So I believe that there's a lot of people who are still working, working in a 9 to 5 or in that conceptualized vision of what a job is, right? But I think the biggest thing for us to really realize is that you could be an entrepreneur and still be there, because entrepreneurialism is about thinking outside of the box, becoming your true self in what you do, and really kind of excelling at it no matter what. So,
Mm, that's a good point. So what else do you do, Vince? Like who are
who am I? I am amazing. I am great. I am flawed. I am not perfect. I am a business owner. I own a brand and marketing, a media publication company. I've been doing marketing and development for about 8 to 10 years. So depending upon who you ask, I could be the best and the great at it, right? It depends on who you can ask. I could suck at it, right? But that's really a person's perspective, and that's what I do. Is I help change the narrative on other people's perspectives of brands, businesses, and nonprofits.
I like the fact, and probably I'll try Tiff, we can both talk about that. You're so open, but you're like blunt with it. It's almost like, hey, you don't like what I have to say? Like, I really don't care. Like, I'm just gonna say how it is. But that takes a lot. Have you always been like that, or has it you just kind of developed and grew into that?
So I used to be very sensitive as a kid. Foster care kind of drew me into that. I had a foster brother who passed from ALS, and I realized my circle wasn't the best that it could be. From people saying things like, "Oh, I don't know how to be there for him," or "I don't know how to do this," or but making it about them, right? And it really kind of turned me into more of a from a sanguine personality, which is, "Oh, I'm everywhere, I'm great, I'm having fun," let's just talk and have a surface level relationship, to being real and authentic, because it took the death of my foster brother, who was one of the only loyal people I had in my life, to really kind of draw that out of me.
Mm.
That's good.
Okay.
I
You get to
think
know me.
that I know, like, I didn't know this about him, number one, but that explains a lot, where his straightforwardness comes from. But that is a trait of yours, Vince, that I am learning to adopt as well.
Or learning to overcome.
Yeah, definitely. I like sometimes the ability to not have any fear, like, hey, like if this person don't want to do business with me because I was open and told them the truth, like, like, but instead we want to be like reserved, right, and conservative, but that same thing doesn't really help us out.
Well, that's why I believe that business has to be you first, right? It can't be your business. It can't be, we can't separate business and personal. People think you can separate that. You can't. What you can do, however, is put boundaries in place with certain people and have certain different relationships with different people, and based on what they've shown you and their character and in their ability to process their relationship with you, and it will grow and your boundaries will release, and you'll have more or broader conversations with them and broader relationships with them, but you never change who you are. See, to me, business, saying the phrase "it's just business" is an excuse for you to act like an asshole. I think that that's just the stupidest phrase I could ever give to anybody, because it's just an excuse.
So most people may take how blunt you are as the impact that you're a man, which is why you're blunt like that. And when women are known to per se to be passive, that's just like a stigma. But it is something like people do relate to it. Tiff, and like how do most women relate to be kind of quiet and passive, and a man to be outspoken?
Who you asking?
Like, yeah.
Oh, I was
So
confused there
I
for a moment.
wanted I wanted to add to that, and another perspective of that. If we as women are assertive, like Vince, and we're blunt, then we come off as being, I don't know what, if Facebook allowed us to say the B word or whatever, but so we come off as that. We don't come off as bosses. We don't come off as being confident. It comes off as, we, especially for us women of color, we being black bees. So where does that line come in at?
I'm not perfect. Okay, first off, I can curb some of the things that I have to say sometimes too, and I'm learning to do that as I progress as well. So to note, those things might occur for you, but that's not a, while that stigma exists, I think that we feed too much into that stigma. Even in our, um, I guess, questioning of it. So, like for your instance, well, how do we overcome it? How do we do this? How do we do that? I say don't entertain it. I say don't entertain people who call you that. At that point, they didn't respect you enough to listen to you. Obviously, you had to get to that point. That is, and the problem is that that stigma doesn't come from business, and we know that, right? That stigma comes from black women being unprotected in that certain class of society, right? I mean, obviously, they were the ones who fought beside white women to get feminism and that whole movement, right? But yet you can go into a workplace and still be discriminated against, and then they can defend themselves or say, well, we don't discriminate this white woman that way. Oh, well, then it's race. Oh, we don't discriminate this black man that way. So the problem isn't that it's business, that's society, right? So, and that's something that we can't feed into. And I think that, as for me personally, I don't like women who don't speak their mind. Like, I really don't. Honestly, I don't like anybody who don't speak their mind. But the one biggest thing for me is just calling it out of you. Tell me what you're thinking. Let's go. Give it to me. I don't know how to say, just spit it out. I don't care. I don't care if it hurt my feelings. The only reason you're trying to figure out what you want to do is because you're trying to avoid hurting someone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But in certain instances, it's unavoidable. Now, as a whole, yeah, okay. Try to speak to somebody in the way that they'll receive it. And I think that's very important, right? Speaking to people and giving people what they need to be able to receive it. But there's a certain extent where you don't put your boundaries at risk and you don't put yourself at risk. And at that point, you have to be like, no. And that's okay too.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. So let's dig into this topic. In business, who's better?
Who's better, men or women? I
Yeah.
don't think that there's an. I don't think that that's something that is plausible. So I don't think women are better than men, and I don't think men are better than women in business. I think that there's certain attributes that individuals have that they need to work on. I mean, we all do. I have, from emotional IQ to emotional response to understanding analytics, logic, creating a better, healthier response rate, right? Understanding how that looks. But no, the moment if we continue to talk about who's better, men or women, we're going to have a problem, and we're going to continue to be in these business entanglements.
Ah, that was ooh, that was
Hey.
good. So often though there is competition where we feel like we have to compete against each gender.
Absolutely.
So even though there's outlets for women per se, because I don't really know of too many outlets for women. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now on the concept of
There's
women
a
being
lot.
No, and like it's funny that you said that because my husband said the same thing. He says there are so many conferences, empowerment meetings, workshops, Sister Sundays here in Jacksonville. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he sees for the women, and not a lot of anything for the men, for them just to come together and be men.
I'll I'll agree to the point that those spaces have been created, right, for women because of this very reason. But the reason there's not enough men's spaces is because that's men's issue, right? We're not creating them, and we need to, right? That's why the 21st Men exists. As far as the women feeling out of place or feeling like they have to compete, that's a woman's issue. Like in certain instances, in my opinion, that's that not women as a whole. I said that's that woman's issue, right? A instead of E, and that man's issue. But the problem is, as a whole, there's a lot, right? Plug Women at Work has a huge platform, and I think that plugging into them and being very active within that community can breed some great results because I've met some beautiful women in business and I'm not and being able to navigate that world like they're doing it and they're doing it in support of like and that's one of the biggest things that I see and I wish sometimes men can get out their pride with that too, but I think that it's an individualized thing combating a social issue that's bleeding into business.
mm, mm.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah, that was a really good perspective. So do you think we both operate the same in business?
I
Would you say
think that I think that we operate the same in business from the standpoint that we foundationally want our business to be successful and we operate in the same way that people have told us to operate from day one, right? But I think that individually we're going to come across struggles that could be tied to our gender. They could be based off of the social constructs of the world, right? But you have to push through them and not, because in reality, right now, the biggest thing is pushing past it's hard, calling it out when it's necessary to be called out because you don't want to be sitting in it and say, hey, listen, you're not going to disrespect me just because I'm a woman because we know when it's happening. Let's be real. Or you're not going to disrespect me because I'm a man because I've been disrespected as a man being in certain circles because I'm a man. Or
Hmm.
I'm automatically assumed to be assertive before I walk in the door, or I'm going to be hostile, and
Mm.
that's not either. That these are not just feelings that women have. It's just that it's more vocalized on the woman's side because women as a whole tend to be more vocal and we internalize more.
Right.
I even from the retail side, I see women to be more visible than men. But then when it comes to service-based industries, I see men to be more visible. It may just be the surroundings and what my connections are to, but it seems there is a not an even balance in the two.
there isn't, and I also think that's I think there's not a lot of men overanalyze everything, right? We're going to look at things differently. So where women find value, men might not find that value, and vice versa. It has nothing to do with a. I think it doesn't have anything to do with a better or if or. I think it's just value, service, like how we look at value, as opposed to a woman and seeing that, right? So in reacting to a situation, let's say your baby falls, right? Moms usually react in a way, everything is catered in that same capacity, right? Moms usually, baby, I'm gonna pick you up, that kind of thing, make sure that you're feeling good, brush that boo boo off, whatever. Dad's gonna be like, get up, come on, let's go, get up. We looked at now here's the thing, you looked at that opportunity as an opportunity to nurture. We looked at it as an opportunity to teach. So, and the thing is that we saw the same situation in a different capacity. That's the same thing with value. We're going to look at value differently. So, where retail is a lot of it's feminine products, or what we feel is in a lot of capacities. So, even in the aspect of clothing, like that's why I love our Audacious by Arminians. That's why I love like these, men who are out here doing the retail. Mr. Particular Glasses, I apologize.
You're good.
It's okay.
So,
Hey, that's what
thank
happens when
you.
you're out about and instead of doing different things in business too.
You're right, exactly. But I came from a business meeting with men, really, and we talked about a program that's launching that I can't really discuss because it's not my program. But I'm on there. I'm really helping develop the program with them because you know, I feel it. I believe in it. See, men have to get over certain things more than women do to get like women are quicker to say yes, whereas a man who's going to think about it more.
Mm.
We talked about that last week because me and Autumn realized that about ourselves, that we will say yes real quick
Yeah.
and jump into something, jump into a business opportunity, jump into a partnership. And we've noticed that the men that we work around, they don't do it as fast.
Yeah.
I think half of us are, as a whole, we just operate differently.
Yeah.
Doesn't now I'm not saying it's right, but I'm also not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that we operate different, and I think that as a whole, men are going to have to get to a place where they can trust a little bit more. Unfortunately, the world has kind of put us in a position to not allow us to be men, and so I think that from the 21st men's perspective, like we don't have the and I'm not talking about. I'm going to separate for a minute, right? I'm not talking about white men. I'm talking about men of color. So with that being said, we have the different capacities and different vulnerabilities. Like where what's okay for white men to do is not going to be okay for men of color to do, or in any capacity. So that's another thing that you have to combat. 60%, and I can send you the stats. 60% of men look at things through a lens of race, whereas men of color look at things through a lens of race. Where I think it's about 80 something percent of white men look at things through a lens of gender. They don't even think about race.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that you have to combat and understand that it's more complex than men or women. It's very diverse.
And I wanted
Just take
to,
real quick, but I'm gonna let you handle it, Tiff, for just a second. My son's
okay,
calling.
okay.
Sorry.
I wanted to ask you, Vince. So I was pulling up some stats myself before the meeting started, and I had the most difficult time finding myths about men in business, like things that men do that just make them fail in business. But I found loads and loads of stuff about
Right.
myths on women and what we do and why we're not successful. But one thing that stood out to me, and I wanted to ask you particularly because I know that you are a dad, and I know you're an active dad. In business, so your work life balance, we often talk about this conversation with women, mothers, wives. We have this conversation all the time, but I would like to hear your perspective on that, being a dad and your work life balance.
Well, I want to talk about three things, right? So the very first thing you said is you found loads on women, and the reason why you found loads on women is because women had to overcome a lot back in the 50s and everything like that. And there are, whenever you have a negative, you're going to have a lot of articles on it, or you're going to have something that attracts, right? So think of like a magnet. You have more people looking up those articles, so there more of those articles are going to be written. So that's just how that really kind of works. Doesn't mean that there's a not for men. It's just that that's not probably a common search trend, right? But I will say, as a man who's very actively involved, I really do have a really good mother, my child. Like she takes her. I mean, every other 7 days I have her. She's pretty. She's pretty amazing. She doesn't believe in a lot of different things that a lot of other women do. And so, while we have our issues like every other person who argues and stuff like that, I mean, who doesn't? But she is really good to her. Based on her own understanding, I think that she, Kamora loves like she's just so happy when she comes from her, like right. And I sometimes I feel like I got to be a little bit more strict in certain instances because I'm dad, right? Dads are always strict, but I think that in as a whole, I balance it pretty well. And I also knew how to whoop my child when she was younger because if you don't whoop your children, anyway, sorry. But no, like so generally as a whole, I think that's important to understand.
Absolutely.
This is a really good conversation. So, Tiff, you want to go ahead and let's take it to break real quick, just to show our quick infomercial. Come right back on, and then we'll go into the second half of this whole topic and discussion. Like, it's going to get intense, y'all. So, stay tuned. Keep checking with us. Go ahead and share this live. Go ahead and have anyone join in as well. And then we'll go back to round two. Just a few. And we're back.
Yes. That is my jam.
All right. So this is the second half of the show. What'd you say, Matt? I don't hear you.
What jam? What was your jam? Because I ain't hear no jam. Y'all had me in the waiting room again.
Ah,
You
sorry.
ain't hear music? Oh.
I'm just hearing this music that's going on out here.
So I think it's the topics are really relevant of what we're talking about and how we adjust and bring balance. But let's talk about emotion. Like, obviously, each different gender has a different form of emotion. Don't even go with the smiling because we ain't going there. But it's a reaction to it. Like you said, women are supposed to be expressive. You did mention that we're expressive, right? While men can
Hold on, what?
Did you say something about expression or we expressed earlier?
No, I
All
said
right.
that men. What I said was, I mean, I don't air quotes. No, what I said was that women tend to be more open and having that conversation as opposed to men who are going to be more reserved and internalize everything. Yeah.
So, but the form of emotion, when also you hold back, when you explode, because
Right.
basically holding back does. So, and then you obviously have the opposite where you express your emotion. It's like a faucet, right? So that faucet can just run over and you don't really think before you actually take action and so forth. So in business, though, that obviously affects so many different sides of business too. What'd you say? He's multitasking.
I'm
Y'all
here.
see?
No.
Y'all see? I'm just joking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
We see fingers too, though.
Oh,
You're fine. Life of a business owner. But
Right.
what would you have to say about the emotions? Have you seen it to be challenging with dealing with different genders when it comes to emotion in business?
so um, I think that emotions are personal. I can't. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say that that's gender specific either. I think that um, emotions as a whole, people got. First off, we have a country that doesn't believe in mental health. We don't push it. We don't talk about it. We don't. And I'm not just talking about mental health, but emotional IQ, understanding that. But in business, I think I've come across both men and women who responded in emotional capacities. Um, I honestly would have to say equally. I don't really think I have more than one or the other. I've experienced it more so not. Well, no, I'm lying. I've had two emotional outburst instances in business with women and one with a male. Where I think other ones could have gotten there with the men. I just kind of shut it down at that point. I'm just like, listen, I ain't having a conversation with another man. I'm not going to argue with you. I like, or even in other instances. But one of the biggest things for, I did type in the chat. I don't know if it was pulled up or not, but there's this thing called the 10-second rule in communication, right? In responding. And I think it's important to understand that when you feel like you need to respond to something, wait 10 seconds before you respond, or even longer, 10 to 60 seconds, and really kind of digest what you're about to say, because that way the emotion's gone before you can even respond. Sometimes I don't even respond at all. And the biggest thing is that I've had to learn that over the course of the last year, to be honest with you. So it's very big. It's very important. I've been researching it. So just understanding how to play that really emotionally intelligent card, because it really could help you reserve that. In addition to that, highly recommend, sorry, reading the 48 Hours of Power. It'll allow you to maneuver through business and kind of check other people's emotions without actually letting them know that you're doing it.
That was
I
good.
like
That was
that.
really, really good.
That's real good. Yeah, I looked up the article too.
Yeah. I
It was on
definitely,
LinkedIn is where I read it originally. I don't know where you found it at, but yeah, it's a really good article. I definitely recommend people to read it. Put it in the comments of the video. I think it would be great for people to be able to communicate with the people in their business, but not only in business, in life. I think it's very important to understand um, that communication is not it's not meant to be defensive. It's not meant to be responsive. It's meant to be you're supposed to ask questions, really. I mean, so wait a minute, maybe I don't understand, and forgive my ignorance. I'll say these things all the time because it diffuses the situation. Forgive my ignorance, and then I'll go in and ask a question that may have come off as if I'm calling that person stupid, because in reality we don't think about how we're asking that question could come off to another person and how they receive it. So I really like to try to take my blame. And lately, over the course of the last 2 months, I've been learning how to say if I'm not 100% sure, I could be wrong. So
I'm gonna bring Robin's comment in. She doesn't think one is better than the other, but women are better at multitasking.
I'll agree that women are better than better at multitasking. Actually, that's the reason why men are better cooks. It's actually a statistic. You can look it up. So men are better cooks because we focus, and when a woman cooks, she's focusing on so many different things at one point, right? But a meal takes so much like cohesiveness that you have to be completely focused. But women are great at multitasking, but I do believe that that also can cause a disruption in focus, right? An ability to be focused in a way that can cause problems. I also think for me, I can't multitask to save my life. Okay, and Autumn can attest to that. She'll be talking to me, and then a text comes through, and I start answering it, and she's like, "I'm just gonna be quiet till he's done." Like,
Like the ability to multitask, it's not really meant for you to do multiple things at one time. Believe it or not, it's not really meant for. There's no way you can dedicate the appropriate time to each different thing, depending on what you're doing. But
Mm-hmm.
we often multitask. Something is going to get the ball dropped on, and
right.
hopefully it have that effect to make a big impact.
Ooh, let's talk about that ball drop for a moment. So I'm going to talk about this from what I see in internet articles and all this kind of stuff. So women are being told. I'm not saying that they're receiving it. I'm not saying that they believe it. I'm saying that they're being told.
I love how he tries to cover
Anyway,
up the
I
phone.
know,
so
right?
women are being told that they can have it all: business, family, and all that, while most women of color are single moms. So or not, and let me pause the definition. Single moms means that you don't have a father involved in at all. Okay, you can be single and have a child and not be a single mom. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is the the idea of it is that, oh, you can have it all and be a single mom. Well, how? That's impossible. That messes with your mental health, your emotional health. Understanding that, first off, I'm sorry that you guys have to go through that, right? Those women who are out there who have to go through that, who are, but also there are women out there who are choosing to go through that. So I mean, there's like men who are choosing not to be there for their children, just like men who are choosing to think that they can have it all. They can't. See, when children are involved and stuff like that, it kind of changes the game. So I think that women are set up with an unrealistic expectation that it's I feel for that because I'm like it's like we want women to be equal, but then we're setting them up also with I mean this is something that was asked for, but we're also kind of overloading, and I think that that's problematic.
I mean,
Oh,
we don't
Robin,
have. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, let's see what she says.
we're not talking about cooking, but running a business or working in a business atmosphere. Multitasking is easy for women because we use both sides of our brain. Men, unlike men, they use one side. This is scientifically proven.
I referenced booking because I believe that and I don't know when exactly when you joined, but I want to talk about it. I'll bring back one of the topics that I said. I believe everything we do is is us. So I don't believe business is separated from personal life. I think that everything you do develops you and you grow in every aspect. So while I can say cooking, but we have to still formulate recipes. We still have to formulate ideas and concepts. We still have to make sure that these flavors match, right? So that's the same thing you can apply in business, where you have, oh, how do I actually do payroll? How do I actually make things work? How do I move money? How do I move profits from one area to another? How do I take recipes and do that? So everything kind of cohesively blends together in what we do in life. The moment we separate them is a moment that we tend to have problems more than we want to. And I think that a lot of people don't want to admit it, but a lot of people have problems when they try to separate business and personal. And but because they don't know how to operate the two simultaneously, they were never taught how to. If that makes sense. But I agree with you. I know that women use both sides of their brain. I was just using an example in personal life, but I was just being funny.
I
You
think it's
good?
definitely a topic to talk about more often
Yeah.
because sometimes it looks to be that there's so much division that are not coming together. And then when we have these different groups, it looks like one group is building the other but not supporting the other. There seems to be conflict in the both, but it needs to be an area where they still meet, whether it's quarterly, once a year or something to still show the purpose of each of the two support groups to kind of build each other because otherwise we're really competing against each other.
Right, and I agree with that. I think there's way too many imbalances. I will say that, and I think we support them through our advocating of them as well. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Tiff, anything you want to bring up and talk about? Or Vince, anything on your mind?
I
uh,
came across this myth that says women aren't made to be entrepreneurs and we are not supportive of other women. Um, I would like to know
that
your
is a
thoughts.
myth, right?
It is a myth.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I think it's going back into, I'm gonna call it prehistoric times, but it's not that. I think it's going back into where we weren't made to supposed to own a business, just like we weren't made to work a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it goes back into
Right.
that terminology because there are people that are out there feeling that we can't do certain things. So they have this empowerment movement, which is great because it's motivating. But at the same time, there still is no unity in the two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't think it's necessarily often women against other women, but I feel like we compete in our own gender, if that makes sense. I don't
Yes.
feel there is,
I
collaboration
agree.
because it's a form of we're like holding tight where we don't want to release this or we don't want to unlash this because this person's going to prove and they're going to look better to whoever we're trying to show that we're better for. If that makes sense.
Can you hear me?
I can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you, but we can't see you. Oh,
Now,
there you
Here we
go.
are. Sorry. Let me get off.
yeah.
I
Anything you
agree.
want
I
to
think
add?
they're great. Well, I think women. I used to own coffee shops, and honestly, women worked harder in that experience. Right? Women actually worked harder than men. They were able to, and they lasted longer. They did a lot. They believed more in what they were doing rather than men who I felt like were always competing for the next or wanting or thinking they could do better. In those scenarios at the coffee shops, now I have since sold them. But the thing is that um, there's a level of personal issues that I think both gender sex have that have nothing to do with business. I think they just seep into business, and that's really why we have the issues we do. But we don't support enough of cohesive events or cohesive types of things while honoring one another's specific roles as genders as well.
That's good. I like the term honoring one another, and that brings me to the last question I had for you. So, me being from a Christian household, my husband and I believe in God first, God's ahead, man's second, woman, the wife is third, and then the child is underneath. How how would you say that correlates, if at all it correlates, if you guys believe that, into business? Should women in business take the submissive role as we are supposed to in the household?
No, that first off, that's so. I think that you have to look at everything in the same capacity, a hierarchy capacity, obviously. But if you are the owner, you're the owner, right? So the thing is that everything that the hierarchy is the only thing that you translate over, not who is positioned in what. I believe that for my household too, by the way. I also believe that for the church because the word. If I were to talk about the word just a little bit, since she brought it up, my bad, Autumn. That talks about how rearing. It talks also with the family is also the depiction of the church. So understanding that, cool. But we take that level of respect, that level of hierarchy, and we apply it to business. But it doesn't mean that person is in place of those. So no, but we all need to be submissive. But we all need to be submissive to our certain things, right? I think that men need to be submissive in business to not to a person, but to our learning, our goals, our growth. And if we're not doing that, excuse me, then we're gonna fail. So, and that's male or female. And I think that just it shouldn't be applied in the same capacity, but it should be applied as far as its structure.
Principle wise.
Yeah.
Definitely. Tip, you want to take these two questions if I put them up?
Yeah, go ahead. All right. So from Robin, raising children, running a household, and working outside the home is like running a business.
It
Absolutely.
is. It absolutely
Absolutely.
is. You're an
I started
entrepreneur,
seeing,
Robin. You're an
yes, she is.
entrepreneur. I don't care what. I don't care what. I'm at even. I didn't even. It's just. I'm just saying. Even people who are. What do you do? Mind you, can you comment real quick and tell me what you do?
She is an entrepreneur.
Okay.
She had a recently had a Airbnb, and she's now converting over to home staging.
Awesome. So even and that is like running a business. You are absolutely correct. But same with people who are working regular 9 to 5 jobs. It's hard. It is. Sorry. I felt that, and I'm a father who has custody. So I mean not full. So I don't get it all the way, but I get it.
I've
Um,
started seeing over the years that homemaker as a occupation on
Really?
applications. Yes.
I'm
and
waiting for
that's
them to add Latino to race, but yeah.
but I said question, but it was a statement. So she got
Yeah.
one more.
Single women do this all the time. Yes.
Mhm.
So I have a question that being an entrepreneur, right? Being a business owner, it's a lot different for me, even for myself. even my friendships, the aspect of overall life, everything is no longer the same. Do y'all see that on the same side as being a man as well? The friends that I had before
Yes,
a business owner, they're no longer my friends now. I have a whole new group of friends because even to the standpoint, like we talk about not supportive, it's almost as if like I feel like I'm better than them. That's not even who I am, but I'm just growing. But I didn't know if it's something similar on the men's side as well.
it is, and that's not. That's because they never respected you from jump.
Yeah,
You so yes, it's very similar. It is what it is, and we call it a day. And that's something that you're going to run into not only in business but even when your mental grows. For let's say most people who decide to pick up a religion or pick up a new way of thinking, they lose friends too, right? So in business, absolutely. Even during COVID, right? We have all these people going into businesses for themselves. By the way, great job. But one of the biggest things is that those people who were either in business before or were in service-based industries or whatever the case may be, and they were restricted to the house. They're mental. I want to do different things. I want to collaborate. I want to do this. I want to do that. As soon as the world opened back up, it became all about them again, and that's because we don't actually conceptualize community enough and understanding community growth. So with that, you're going to lose people, and they're going to come with you or they're not. It happens on the male side all the time. I honestly think, and I can't speak for women because I don't know if, but it happens very frequently because of pride. I think with men. So I want to be this. I want to do this. I had a friend, and he consistently was like sometimes we operate in the same circles and he'd get jealous and mention stuff and obviously tried to sabotage me, but the problem is that you either leave them or allow them to drag you down. You just gotta do that.
so I got one more question just came up, and I know we're kind of about to get ready to close it out too. So me and Tiff talked about this before, the balance of friendship and business. Can you have the two? Can that work? And what is your outlook of it? If someone as a friend may violate that friendship, can you still do business with them, or do you see yourself, or to you is it one or the other, or
You
how's it
can't
go?
violate. You can't violate nothing and me do anything with you. I mean, I don't care if it's business or friendship. See, my thing is this. A lot of times, and I learned this when I opened up the coffee shops, when anything. A lot of times, the people who were in your life before you started your business will fall off. A lot of times, the business relationships that you create and make become your friends. It's because they respected you on the business level first, and then they got to respect you as a person after that. That they knew you and they knew you, and they got to know you, the real you. The people who were hanging on before were just conveniently there. And that's just what it is. They didn't really believe in you. So, and that's where I think it really boils down to.
Gotcha.
That's really good.
Yeah, this was a good topic. Definitely a really good
Yes.
topic. Um, Tiffany said, "I'm with you on that. If we all off, that's just that. It's no more anything."
No business, no friendship, no nothing.
Yeah, for real. That's it.
Yeah, it ain't like you obviously didn't respect me. First off, I gotta be me. I can't be nobody else. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
change. I'm not changing who I am in business. I come home and be a different person. What the hell am I, Two Face? I'm not. I wasn't gonna say nothing about Gemini's. Anyway, so the thing is that so I'm just messing. But generally, like you can't be two different people. I
Mhm.
can't mess with you or rock with you if you mess with my friendship or my business. You're not allowed in either one because I am my business. Because at the end of the day, if somebody you can separate business and personal. Because you come after my business, you're coming after my personal money, my pockets, my family, my hunger, my everything. So the thing is that at the end of the day, everything is kind of subsected together. You 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 done. You out.
I felt your emotional reaction. I felt it. Did you feel that too? Because I felt
Yeah, I
again.
did. I did.
I tell everybody I'm a Libra. I'm supposed to be this balanced scale, but tell you the truth, I'm either on or off. I cannot be in between. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. It's nothing. It's just is what it is. I'm either on or off. And unfortunately, when I'm off, you'll know I'm off because it's nothing. But it's definitely I think a lot of who we are is in our business, and the reflection of our business is related to that.
Yeah.
And
We grew
I
it.
think. about that. Yeah,
It's
they
our
forget all about
baby. Our business is our baby, so it's gonna look like us. It's gonna
When
talk
I
like
first
us.
met you, Autumn, you said that you put blood, sweat, and tears into building one bridge. Those are your and Luke's blood, sweat, and tears. Ain't nobody else's.
it.
That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying.
yeah,
Same with you, Tiffany. You talked about having living corporate. You weren't happy. You weren't satisfied. So you put all of you and you quit. You
Mm-hmm.
left, right? So you put all of you into this because it's now all of you. You can't you
right.
Right.
can't you can't dissect yourself from your business, and you can't expect anybody who says that to you doesn't understand how to actually run a business.
That's
I
good.
I
definitely
did
agree.
just hit 10% on my phone. So
Robin said that's why it's important to have like-minded people around you. I definitely agree.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
You can
So
follow
let's
me on social. It's Vince Candor.
go ahead. And you got to leave it in the comments too. So I'm gonna leave some final words because I think the topic was really good, right? But the topic actually pivoted to show there really is no difference in between the two, and
Hmm.
it was an open discussion to have everyone to kind of understand that because you coming on, somebody's ready to say who the person is, but we just pulled out strengths and weaknesses in both genders. So I definitely feel like this may be something we have to recirculate again, maybe part two. I don't know. We got to brainstorm that too. We really got to
No,
brainstorm.
I agree. The conversation, there's so much to this conversation. I really think we just hit the surface, and there's more to dig out. Having the male perspective and the female perspective in an open, respectful forum is so needed right now, and I think
Yep.
that's something that business entanglements can handle.
Yeah, definitely. So, Vince, you want to leave any final words? Say anything to everybody watching?
Well, you can follow me on It's Vince Candor, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also follow me on. No, don't do that. I was going to say the. I know I'm not really that professional on TikTok. And then you can follow me, my business, Candor Brands, at UR Growth on Facebook as well as Instagram. And then if you want to follow the movement for men and be supportive and be that supportive measure, you can follow at the 21st Men. That's THE21STMEN. And that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.
And let me
Awesome.
just say, as a woman who worked on some of the material for the 21st Men, it is amazing. Like what these men are doing, these melanated men are doing is amazing. It was a great project for me to work with. And any man that is watching this that is looking for a community like that, I endorse it 100%.
Mm, that's awesome. Tiff, any go ahead and plug yourself. Go ahead.
Oh, y'all know Tiffany TKOverby, TKOverby Consulting on Facebook, TKO Boss Empire on TikTok, Tiffany Overby Instagram, Facebook. Just follow me wherever you can find me.
And it's your girl Autumn, ADQM Solutions, where I work from home doing my due diligence from the side to back, but I'm also located in One Bridge. Wednesday through Sunday, we'll meet in person, we can meet virtually. And then after hours, this is what we do every Tuesday called Business Entanglement. We're in the comfort of our home. You may hear our children in the background. You may hear wah wah music playing in the background because guess what? Every business owner is coming to the table wherever they are from. And y'all saw me earlier pick up the phone and answer to my son because he called as well. So we put it all on the table, but we want to be transparent just to show you who we are behind the scenes, but also bring forward everything that we have to offer to many businesses in itself. So make sure you follow us, all of us, on social media platforms, and then check in every Tuesday just to be able to catch us. We definitely want to go ahead and thank y'all so much for tuning in. And Robin
And
had gave us
if you want to be a guest, please reach out to Autumn or Tiffany so that we can get you on the schedule.
definitely. And Robin says she appreciates us holding this forum. We trying to talk
No
about what is
problem. No
not being
problem.
talked about. So that way we
No
can all,
worries.
yeah, definitely for sure.
About to
All
order me
right.
something from Wawa.
Bye, y'all. We'll see y'all next Tuesday.